Welcome everybody, this is Niclas Huschenbeth and today I would like to show you one of my games from the European Championship 2018. It was round number 10 and I played against Aleksandar Indjic, strong Grandmaster, rated 26-21 I believe, so very strong, and I was playing with the white pieces. This was round number 10, so the penultimate round, and I would say if you're ready, I'm ready, let's get into it. E4, C5. And by the way, maybe I should talk about the situation at this point. So the European Championship, the first 23 players qualify for the World Cup. So this is pretty much a goal for everybody participating to qualify for the World Cup. And it was clear at this point that we both needed to win our last two games to have a chance to qualify. So we both want to win. Also shows in his opening choice going for the fighting Sicilian. And funnily enough, this is exactly the same opening as I had in round number 4. Maybe you saw that game against international master Ratsiev, which was a completely crazy game. So if you haven't seen it yet, I recommend you to check it out after this one. And once again, we'll see a very interesting game. But here my opponent deviated from round 4. Where my opponent played d6, but Indjic goes for queen c7. Queen e2, threatening e5, and white would love to play this, so black needs to stop it and go d6. c4, I install this bind on the center, having a nice grip. g6, knight c3, bishop knight bd7, which was a little bit unusual, but it's just a move order thing here. Doesn't really change much. I go knight f3. This looks a little bit odd, right? Why am I removing the knight from the center? Well, black played g6, so he's intending to put his bishop on g7. And this means that the pawn on d6 will be more vulnerable. And I want to attack it, so I go rook d1 now. And I go after his pawn. Bishop f4, now threatening to play bishop c2 and putting pressure on it. So he goes knight h5, I go back to e3, b6, rook ac1, bishop b7, bishop b1, now rook fd8, bishop g5. I was curious how he's going to react to this move, because f6 is not a move he wants to play, and after knight h f6, that's what he played, I can once again ask a question: how do you deal with the threat? And here he went for knight e5. I take, and we get this structure where black has nice control over the center and the pawn on e5, but I have the majority of pawns on the queen side. Still, maybe it is a little bit better for white, but it's not that much. Bishop c6. Now I expand, I go b4. Knight d5 here is not possible because of the e takes d5, c takes d5. This pin looks strong, but black can unpin by going bishop b5, and my queen is unprotected. And if queen takes b5, black goes queen takes c1, and I can resign. So instead I went b4, rook takes d1, rook takes, bishop f8, bring back the bishop from g7, where obviously after that diagonal has closed, he's not doing anything anymore. a3 and bishop e8. This all was quite well played from my opponent. Bishop d3, a5, and I cannot go b5 here because I cannot give black the square on c5, so I need to protect my pawn with rook b1. He went take, rook d8. Now I went bishop c2. I think, well, I'm pretty sure if I play a move like h3 here, which I would like to do to just not have any back rank issues anymore, black can go bishop takes b4, rook takes and queen d6, rook takes b6, queen takes d3. So here, this is the whole idea, it's a double attack against the bishop and the rook, even though, no, knight d5 doesn't work. Looks good at first, because e takes d5, rook takes b6, but black can go knight takes d5 and then pick up the rook on b4, so that doesn't seem to work. So this is the threat and the reason why I played bishop c2. And well, black could go rook c8 now, when I'm not sure if I would have found something better here. I think the computer suggests a move like knight d1. I'm not sure if I would have played this. So this was an option, but like I said, we both needed to win. So I was also hoping he will continue, and he did. Knight h5, g3, rook c8, bishop d3. I played g3, by the way, to take away the f4 square from the knight. And here we see his idea, going f5. Making something happen. Especially considering that I was getting pretty low on time. This was a decent practical chance, but actually in the execution simply doesn't work out well for black, because I can do this. And now this is very strong c5. And probably what he missed, because I'm sure otherwise he wouldn't have gone for this. It's c5, b takes c5, and now bishop c4 is a strong pawn sacrifice. Why do you go bishop c4? If I go b5 immediately, black can go c4, and that's not what I want to allow. Because after b6, black can take on d3, hitting my queen. So bishop c4, threatening bishop takes e6, so black is not in time to take on b4. I can take on e6 with check, take the exchange, and I'm better. So black defends the pawn, bishop f7, and now b5, and I'm a pawn down, but suddenly all my pieces are on good squares. The bishop on c4, the pawn on b5 is far advanced and already supported by the rook, so this is giving me quite nice compensation. Knight f6 makes a lot of sense, wants to get the knight to d5. And here I played a move which to me also made a lot of sense, queen a2, having more pressure on d5 and also threatening to take an e6. f4, good move, because I have to play an awkward move, bishop c1, going back with the bishop. And queen d6, defending the pawn. And here I made a mistake. I was getting low on time and just decided to push the pawn on b5 forward. I should play bishop b2, which now that I see it looks completely logical, with the threat or the idea to go rook d1 next and keep everything under control, kind of. And my pawn on b5 is also nicely protected. I'm not in any danger of losing it. But I went b6, rook b8, and queen a7. And here my opponent had different choices, but rook d8, what he played was not the best. I was afraid during the game of knight d7, because I thought if I go b7 now, black will play queen d4, hitting both pieces, and I'm in trouble. Turns out though, what I didn't see is that after bishop b2, queen takes c4 of rook d1, hit the defender of the rook, and I'm actually on top here. So black should play something else after b7, like bishop g6, rook b2, and remains very much unclear. Also, the direct bishop g6 would have been possible, and considering my time situation, that would have been quite unpleasant, honestly. But he played rook d8. I said, okay, well, I'm just going to push my pawn now. What are you going to do? And it turned out he wanted to give up the exchange. He played queen d4. Here, I queen immediately. Would have been stronger to go bishop d2. Point being that black cannot take this bishop because of rook d1. And after queen takes c4, this is just a better version for me than what we got in the game here. So this was stronger, but okay, I said, okay, I'll queen. I should at least not be worse here. Here, I might also take with the rook, but that was just too crazy for me, leaving my king alone with little time on the clock. So I took with the queen. Queen takes c3. And now the last move to be made, the 40th move. Excuse me. And that was a mistake. I played queen b3. It looks logical to bring the queen back, but it's just much smarter to play bishop f1 immediately and still keep my queen active here on b8. But queen b3, queen e1 check, bishop f1. And black's quite active. I'm up in exchange, but black has 2 pawns. So this is very much unclear, and I think it should be a draw with perfect play. Knight e4, threatening queen takes f2, and I play queen b2. Important is that bishop e3 doesn't work because of takes, and the pawn just eats until it queens right here, and I can resign. So I went queen b2, defending the pawn on f2. And here my opponent played a sequence of moves that I didn't expect, and I was puzzled during the game to see, but then eventually quite happy to see. I thought he would play bishop g6 here, that's what I expected. Bishop g6, preparing any kind of knight g5 or any kind of discovered attack against the rook. And now bishop e3 was my plan. And okay, black can do this, for example, now, but now I take with the queen, and we get this endgame, which is probably a draw, but it feels like to me white can try. Also after queen c3 we'll get something similar, takes, takes, rook c1, this is pretty much the same story, yeah. So, this is what I expected, but my opponent played knight c3, and I was really worried that I missed something here because I didn't see what he wanted to do with his knight on c3. He played f3 now, which is a mistake. He should go something like bishop g6, and still white is clearly better, but still not that clear. But he went f3, but now I can go bishop e3, knight e2 check, and just king h1, and everything's under control here. He went queen c3. And here I made a mistake, I played queen takes c3, I should keep the queens on the board. I was somewhat worried about this pawn f3, but really my king is much safer than the king on g8 from black. And I will get my piece organized and attack the king, and this is a pretty good position for white, simply. It's just winning, in fact. So I was actually thinking about this during the game, but also I thought the endgame would be quite promising, but the endgame gives black saving chances for sure. Actually though, I think practically speaking, this was the move my opponent was most afraid to see, because he knew he wouldn't be able to win this anymore, and he seemed quite disappointed at this point, dejected, and didn't put up the most tenacious defense. So, well, it just worked out for me from this point forward. Here he played knight e5, which is a mistake. He should go knight e2, rook c4, and now bishop g6, with the idea that after bishop takes c5 I have to put my rook on an awkward square on g4, and also there's the threat of knight takes g3 now, and black should hold this bishop h3, but suddenly all my pieces are on weird squares. This looks very odd, so this should be fine for black. But he went knight d5, now I take on c5, takes, e4, bishop h3, king g7, and rook c4. If black was in time to maybe get his king to e5, something like this, I'm not sure if white is winning, but I can go rook c4, and black has problems. Probably his best shot is to go e3, but takes, e5, king g1, knight takes e3, rook c7, should also win eventually, I think, for white. But after bishop g6 I can take on e6, and e3 just doesn't work out. Bishop takes d5, e takes f2. First looks strong for black because rook c1, there's bishop d3, but I can give a check and then just play bishop c4, stop the pawn from queening, bring my bishop to f1, and now nothing's happening with this pawn, and I just picked it up pretty much. And here, okay, I'm going to take on f2 next move, then get my king out, I'm a rook up, so there's no point in playing on, and my opponent resigned. So quite a topsy-turvy game, very happy to use this word, in which I emerged victorious in the end. Some ups and downs, but overall I was quite happy with the quality of my play in this game, as I had an advantage for most of the game pretty much of the opening. I got a little bit of something that I played a little bit too slow, got in time trial, but found this nice pawn sacrifice. I was quite happy. c5 and then b5, having the strong b pawn. And then after time control, I was able to convert with the exchange up. Very similar to my game against Pavel Ponkratov, in case you saw that, also from the European Championship. You can find a link in the description. Round number 8 it was. So those were my games from European Championship. I posted 3. You find the other 2 links in the description. Hope you enjoyed them. Hope you learned something. And then I hope to see you again very soon in one of my other videos. Until then, bye bye.